hope this I hope this would be a very, very inspiring session to everyone who is interested بهول two sectors, especially بالentrepreneurial field. Okay, well, okay, good. يلا هلا بنسمع their stories. Okay, let us start. رح نبلش our session. So أول شي بس please رح أعطيكم just few seconds if you can just scan this code if you are on your laptop to mark your attendance أو إذا أنتوا on your phone رح نبعت اللينك by chat. Okay, my colleague Nare رح تبعت اللينك by chat if you can just fill out the form. Attendance please. So, just let me know when you're done. اوكي سو للي ما بيعرفنا اول شيء هاي انا اسمي ريتا كساب Community and Outreach Officer at ACIE USEK. رح نحكي هلا شوي in details. هدف السيشن اليوم أول شيء نكون عم نخبركم عن ال Idealab program, how can you benefit from this program, وكيف تقدروا to kick off your startup, وشو ال benefits منه. وأكيد we're gonna hear from our amazing panelists. رح يكون عنا a panel discussion. hopefully هيدا البانل مثل ما قلت لكم تكون inspiring لإلكم if you have any idea just for you to start and to chase such opportunities مثل Idealab program. So رح خبركم شوي عن ACIE. anyone new, anyone doesn't know what we do at ACIE. حدا بيعرف حدا ما بيعرف ال ACIE.
أنا ما بعرف.
Okay.
هاي
هاي دانا. اوكي سو هوبفلي هلا بتصيري تسمع عنا شوي اكثر ونخبرك نحن شو بنعمل. So ACIE Asia Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship هو innovation hub بالأوزاك. هدفنا نكون عم نساعد الانتربرينورز across لبنان بيكونوا aspiring change makers. بنكون نحن عم نقدر نعطيهم access to mentorship, funding, training, أكيد a strong support network. Also here at ACIE we believe يعني إنه every great idea needs the right space to grow. So that's what we are aiming to do. We are aiming to build a collaborative and inclusive ecosystem, like to bridge the creativity أكيد مع يعني creativity with purpose تنكون نقدر driving a real world impact. فبال ACIE نحن بنقدر يعني we provide training programs, coaching, funding, networking, and ACIE tries to support entrepreneurs at every step of the way. أكيد we have validation, ideation, and incubation programs. We have competitions and hackathons and host networking events. هدفنا مش بس to support startups. هدفنا to build this entrepreneurial mindset اللي بيخلي الأشخاص to embrace learning, resilience and iteration. يعني and we have many other services like access to labs and a co-working space. أكيد a great network مثل ما already ذكرت. نحن موجودين اليوم لحتى نحكي عن الأيديالاب بروجرام. الأيديالاب هو a 10-week fully funded validation program organized in collaboration مع بريتك و co-funded by the Embassy of the Netherlands in Lebanon. ACIE is proud to be one of 5 regional partners عم بيطبقوا هيدا البروجرام بلبنان. رح نحضر a quick video just for you to get introduced للIdea Lab. و then we'll dive more in details.
Idealab هو program implemented by Beritech and funded by the Kingdom of the Netherlands. هدفه يدعم idea stage startups innovating in the agri-food and clean technology sectors. دعم الانتربرونورز عم بيصير من خلال partnerships مع 5 منظمات ب5 مناطق مختلفة بلبنان. والمنظمات هن أشر سنتر، فرح سوشيال فاونديشن، بارك انوفيشن، إنجاز لبنان، ميشيل داهر فاونديشن.
أول فيز من البروجرام هي الكونسبت انيشيشن، من خلالها ستارت ابس حيقدروا يعرفوا مين البيرسونا تبعهم وشو هن المشاكل اللي عم بيواجهوها من خلال التواصل مع potential customers. هذا الشيء حيخليهم يكتشفوا إذا السولوشن تبعهم تتطابق مع الزباين.
من بعد ما يحددوا البيرسونا ويتأكدوا إنه السوليوشن يلي عم بيقدموها صالحة، بيجي دور تحديد حجم السوق والمنافسين. هيدا الخطوة كتير مهمة لأنه بتقرر مصير المشروع واستمراريته وكيف فيهم يكونوا عم بيميزوا حالهم بالسوق.
بمرحلة البروتوتايب، الستارت ابس بيتقدم لهم الدعم اللازم ليقدروا يبنوا النموذج الأولي اللي لهم أو البروتوتايب. من بعدها بيعملوا تيستينج مع الكاستمرز، بياخدوا برأيهم ليقدروا يطوروا هذا النموذج بطريقة تتناسب مع متطلبات السوق.
البزنس موديل كانفاس كتير أساسي لتنظيم البزنس كومبوننتس بمحل موحد. من خلال هالسبرنت الستارت ابس عم ياخدوا التول اللي بتساعدهم لحتى يفهموا العناصر الأساسية اللي بتشكل إدارة عملهم.
ننتقل لاخر فيس بالايديا لاب يلي هو البيتشنج فيس. بهيدي المرحله بيدربوا الانتربرونورز كيف يقدموا فكرتهم ب3 دقائق. السبورت يلي بينعطاهم بيكون دائما مركز على الفيربال والنون فيربال كوميونيكيشن ليقدموا الاوفرنج اللي لهم بطريقه واضحه مختصره وملفته.
إذا عندكم فكرة بمجال الأجري فود أو كلين تكنولوجي حابين تطوروها، انضموا لأيديالاب.
اوكي. مثل ما سمعنا بالفيديو، مثل ما شفنا بالفيديو، Idealab هو program designed للأشخاص اللي عندهم a business idea حابين to turn it into a real project. بفترة هول 10 weeks ال participants رح يكونوا عم يحصلوا على كل التولز، كل support that they need to validate this idea, build the prototype, and test the concept to be ready for other incubation programs, whether with us at ACIE or other ecosystem partners. نحن مساعدكم تكونوا at least يكون صار عندكم a prototype that you can that is tested and validated. يعني مثل ما حكينا هو for idea stage entrepreneurs. ومن خلال هذا البروجرام we're gonna get expert coaching, one-on-one support، أكيد 5 practical workshops، نحكي عن funding opportunities و prototyping support. أكيد you're gonna become a part of a very supportive community and network. It will help you grow beyond the program and will give you the support as much as needed. يعني it's all about giving you the tools and guidance and the environment to bring this idea or these ideas to life. مثل ما شفتوا بالفيديو، هذا البروجرام is designed for the agri-tech and clean tech sectors, like the areas that are now shaping the sustainable and the more resilient future. In the agri-food tech part أكتر شيء بنكون عم نحكي عن كيف technology is able to transform the way we produce, we process and we consume food. فينا نكون عم نحكي عن smart and data-driven farming techniques, also innovative way to reduce food waste or improve food safety. يعني هذا السيكتور فيه كتير opportunities فيكم تكونوا عم تعملوا impact من خلالها على كل الفود value chain. هدفها على طول إنه to enhance sustainability, the productivity and ensure the food security for the future. أما بالنسبة للكلين تاك، الكلين تاك أكتر بيركز على السولوشن اللي يعني بتحل أو بتتناول everything related to environmental challenges. إن كان عم نحكي عن harnessing renewable energy أو improving the energy efficiency. في يكون شيء خاصه بال like advancing the waste management and clean mobility. So هذا sector is all about reducing إذا بدنا footprint تبع environmental footprint and building a more like resilient climate. So أنتوا إذا عندكم فكرة قادرة هي to contribute to our food systems or to making our planet greener or more sustainable, Idealab is designed to help you shape these ideas, grow them into more like tangible and impactful solutions. هذا هدف Idealab. So Idealab شو اللي انتم بحاجه له لحتى تقدموا على هذا البروجرام. You have to be at least 2 co-founders. One of you should be fully residing in Lebanon لأنه you have to attend the 5 workshops اللي راح يكونوا like live مش online. If you are a multidisciplinary team, this would be better for you, from someone from technical background and someone from business background. أكيد بده يكون عندنا الكوميتمنت and to attend and to grow this idea. وأكيد it should be like a tech-based idea بالagri-food and the clean sectors. The application process is very simple. It only needs like startup information, problem solution info, and some details about the founders. مثل ما قلنا لازم يكونوا at least 2. The deadline to submit your applications is by 17 August. يعني تقريبا في less than 2 weeks. Then we have a selection period. مننقي بين كل الابليكيشنز اللي اجوا مننقي top 20. Top 20 will come for a pitch interview with a jury member. وبين هول top 20 we're gonna choose 12 startups to join us for the last batch of Idealab. This is the 5th and the last batch. مثل ما حكينا يعني this is the last batch. بال 4 batches اللي already قطعوا we were able to graduate more than 37 38 startups كلهم from different backgrounds in the agri-food tech وال clean tech sectors. وقدرنا نكون عم ندعم كذا حدا منهم to apply to other incubation programs مثل ما حكينا to get more funds and more support. Hopefully one of you will be with us in the 5th batch كمان ويقدر يستفيد من هذا opportunity. آخر شيء قبل ما نكون عم نبلش ب our panel, this is what's coming next. Tomorrow we have a public speaking workshop in collaboration with Toastmasters Lebanon and Juni municipality. So if you are interested to join us in this live workshop, رح يكون بكرة على الساعة 7 ببلدية جوني. And you can find all the details on our Instagram page. And we can send you أكيد the details later on. And don't forget, if you are interested, to apply to Idealab before 17 August. حدا عنده سؤال حابب يستفسر عن شيء قبل ما watch one last video and move to our panel? No questions? Okay, if you have any question, guys, just write it. Just write it on the chat box. Okay. رح نحضر هلا اسمه الفيديو. هو عن demo day تبع batch 4 and what the teams have achieved بعد هول 10 weeks. كيف هن قدروا يوصلوا to present their ideas, to present their prototypes in front of our community and ecosystem partners and friends.
I'm very proud of the pitching session today at the demo day. I think they all did fantastic.
I was amazed to see their progress من وقت البيتش انترفيوز لهلا. كانوا كتير متحمسين وعندهم أفكار كتير رائعة.
Okay. So here concludes my part. Hopefully إذا أنتوا هلا interested أو عندكم أي سؤال just write it in the chat box وهلا إن شاء الله ال panel discussion رح تكون more insightful for you and inspiring. We're gonna hear from our amazing panelists. But first, I'm gonna introduce our moderator for the session, our programs manager at ACIE, Reda Helbawi. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Rita, and welcome everyone. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Ideas Worth Building panel. So tonight we have amazing 4 and incredible Lebanese founders who took problems they cared about and built something meaningful, often in tough sectors like agriculture, waste, recycling, or fashion. So our audience today is made up of idea stage and early stage entrepreneurs, many of them who are just starting to work on their business and innovation. So this panel is really a chance to hear how others started, tested, struggled, and adapted. So we're gonna give quick introductions of our 4 amazing panelists. So Nisrine is the founder and CEO of IoTree, a precision agriculture startup that uses smart sensors and AI to help farmers detect pests and manage orchids more efficiently. She's at the intersection of agri-tech and deep tech, which is a very challenging sector that we'll speak more about. Omar is the general manager at FabricAid, a circular fashion enterprise that collects, sorts, and redistributes second-hand clothes across Lebanon and the region. So this is combining business with social and environmental impact. We also have Ralph, CSO of Plastic Lab, a clean tech company that transforms plastic waste into useful products like construction material, of course, in order to reduce pollution and promote sustainability. We also have Antoine. Of course, Rita, I'm hearing an echo. Okay, I think it's sorted now. We also have Antoine, who is the founder of Compost Baladi, which pioneers decentralized waste management solution through composting. And this is, of course, in collaboration with municipalities, schools, households, and in order to treat organic waste responsibly. And we will be discussing this more. So each of these speakers will respond to a few short questions across 4 themes. The idea, early validation, strategy, lessons learned. Then we'll close with a bonus question, which will leave space for a few questions from the audience. So let us begin at the very start, the moment where your idea was just a question of or observation. So I'm gonna ask the first question to Omar. What was the core question you were asking that led to FabricAid? And how did you know this was worth pursuing?
So first, thank you for this panel and for this for allowing us to share our thoughts with you today. I'll start with the second part of the question. For us as a social enterprise, it's only worth it when the problem is worth it. And the problem that we try to fix and resolve at FabricAid is close unaffordability. There's 2.5 million people in Lebanon and 77 million people in the Arab world who can't afford clothing. عم نحكي هول الناس مش انه they cannot afford Zara or H&M. Those people can't afford affordable streets, supposed to be affordable. يعني الشارع الحمراء، فرن الشباك، الزلقة. عندنا 2.5 مليون شخص بلبنان، منهم 1 million Lebanese. So we know, it's worth it. We know it's something that is important to pursue given the size and the magnitude of the problem. The question that I would continuously ask myself is, what is the most efficient and effective way that allows us to eliminate this symptom of poverty? Is it through creating small stores? Is it creating big stores? Is it through manufacturing? Is it only through focusing on secondhand? What type of logistical fleet do we need? What type of sorting facilities do we need? What type of internal structures and ERP systems, standards, and procedures do we need to have in the company to be able to better cater to the need that we are trying to address? Those are basically the questions. ما كله عنا أجوبة له.
مش كل شيء فيه أجوبة. Okay, great. Thank you for your answer. بس just as well, the question was as well, how did you know this was worth pursuing? So after starting to work on this idea, when did you know that this is something you want to continue on? What highlights did you see مثلا أو in your validation?
So honestly, for me, it wasn't well, we reached a certain milestone or we got an investment or none of those milestones, which are very important and they motivate, were the reasons we and I decided to pursue this full force. And from the day that I felt that this is a problem that is massive and that needs to be addressed and is not being addressed, I felt I better spend my life trying to fix a problem that is worth fixing, even if I fail, than to do something that has no value and that is not bigger than myself. So it's the magnitude of the problem is honestly the reason we decided to go full force. At a certain point, there was successes. Of course, those motivate you. But كمان at a certain point, we had a lot of failures and a lot of problems. And if we were only looking at results الحاليين, sometimes would have been very motivated and sometimes would have failed and quitted and surrendered. The results and milestones should not be the reason that pushes you to create a social enterprise in particular. What pushes you to create a social enterprise is believing that the purpose and the problem that you are trying to address is worth every bit of effort, time, and sacrifice you can possibly do. You become consumed not by the solution you have, not by the company, not by the employees, not by the team. Everything changes. You become consumed by that problem. It becomes the thing you think about all the time.
Amazing. And I can relate to that. And this is what we usually teach our startups to always, of course, have a passion toward the problem. And then, as we all say, fall in love with the problem so that you can be always to be able to fix it, to be trying to validate it. Thank you, Omar, for that. And same goes to Nisrine. As you already been through, مثلا, during your startup journey, they always ask you what is the problem you are solving. How did you even know that this problem exists? So can you tell us in the early days of IoTree, what was the problem or question you were obsessed with solving? Nisrine, are you able to hear me? The other speakers, are you able to hear me? Oh, I think we lost Nisrine. Okay, so I'm going to move on to Ralph. And the question is, of course, about the founding inside. So what was the hypothesis behind Plastic Lab? Was there a specific moment or realization that started all?
احنا شوي it was different. Rami, the main guy with the idea, اللي هو خيي at the same time. It was post waste crisis ولاحظنا انه whenever we were sorting, people were mixing again the waste, so we wanted to do a fun project. So basically we saw precious plastic, he went there, and we were doing the machines. At first, it was just a fun project. We were not supposed to have Plastic Lab. But to our luck, one of Rami's friends, he was there, he saw the machine, and he thought, okay, it could be a business opportunity for you, not only to have it as a fun project. And 6 years later, we have a factory. So it started as a fun project. There was no intention to really do anything big with it, just to recycle our own plastics, small machines, not that big. And we developed a couple of business models through it's Idealab, but I think we were in the first batch of Beritech Clean Energy كان اسمه back then. So the first couple of months, يمكن 3 months, كان I think what is now Idealab. One, we shifted a lot and we changed a lot the business model, حتى التكنولوجي تبعنا. So we started as precious plastic and now we moved to a different area. So there was luck on our side بمحلات. And there was the problem, as Omar mentioned. If there was no problem, ما بيكون في سبب وجودنا لأنه شو بنعمل نحن. And as the years go by, بعدنا we have the waste crisis here and there. We have recovery crisis here and there. يعني what I mean by recovery, we recycle plastic. Many of the plastics are not recycled, sent to dump sites, so that's another issue. So the problem is there, and the technology that we are developing كمان عم تمشي معه. So in a nutshell, how we started, يعني.
Amazing, and this is amazing to see how a project that started for fun, maybe like brothers engineers trying to have fun with machine, solve a problem, how it could reach here, and hopefully it will grow more. And yes, as you said, the clean tech had a validation component, which you guys went through probably when you went to agri-tech or clean tech. And now we are actually doing the validation, and startups, after they finish our program, can apply to clean tech right away. Thank you, Ron. Antoine, هيك, when looking at Lebanon's waste management system, with all its components, stakeholders, what is the big question you were trying to answer with Compost Baladi?
Okay. Again, thank you everyone for being here, Reda and the ACIE team. It's always a pleasure to be involved in your activities. Well, I'm gonna take you 10 years, and I don't know if our attendees remember a lot about 2015, 16, whatever you remember from that period. For people living in Beirut and the suburbs, Matem Ba'abda, Kasirwin, it was a very hard period for us to live through. 8 months of garbage piling up, with risks also on public health. So during that period, and this period started actually in 2014-15, when we started hearing that the Naami landfill might close and that will lead to piling up. So in that period, a group of us people in the same sphere of wanting to do something with waste, specifically with organic waste, we gelled in a way that ended up in creating first a community project called Compost Baladi, a website, a design for community composting wooden boxes, some trainings, and then from that we saw an opportunity to actually build a company out of it. So the question I was trying to answer when I took the decision to actually lead the founding of the company back then with my partners and investors, my personal one was a bit political, not commercial, maybe not even environmental and social. I wanted to discover if it's possible to create value out of organic waste in a way that can attract many people to it, including generators like all of us, municipalities, and maybe other companies. So we can create a critical mass of people that can shift how people think about waste, because now waste can equal money. This was my let's say the purpose I was waking up every day for when I was working on leading this company back then in 2016-17. But definitely over the years, the question evolved. And now we're talking about the company trying to replicate the successes it has discovered or piled up during the years into the region, so in other countries. But back then, the question, at least for me when I was leading, it had a political edge to it. And not to forget that this is the period where Talat Rihatcon was and all the uproar of Lebanese was at its peak. So yeah, if I want to just summarize it, it was a bit more political, but in practice, commercially speaking, I was trying to understand if there's a commercially viable business model that can be replicated and used as a leverage to attract more people to this movement of sorting at source, composting as close possible to your house, so they can actually affect the decision makers like mayors and later on maybe even MPs in the parliament.
This is amazing. Thank you, Antoine. And now we're going to talk more about how each one of you turned their passion or this problem or a group project into a business. I'm going to move now to Nisrine to ask her about the early days during IoTree. What was the problem or question you were obsessed with solving? Nisrine, are you able to hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, my connection is kind of unstable. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Because I
can
tried
hear
to
you
connect using
perfectly.
my 4G. Yeah, so please can you repeat the question?
Yes, so and I'm gonna type it also in the chat. So in your early days in IoTree, what was the problem or question you were obsessed with solving?
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I want to mention that my startup started at USEK actually. It was back in 2017 or 2018. You had something called Startup Weekend instead of Idealab, and I had a project and I submitted to Startup Weekend at USEK and I won the first prize. And from then I established IoTree. So I have heard about farmers who were not able to export their produce because they excessively use the pesticides. So I wanted to take this challenge, even though I know it's a very hard challenge because dealing with farming industry and planting technology with farming in 2017 was not that easy. So I wanted to help farmers improve the quality of the harvest so they can export their produce. That's how it started, but it turns out that the problem is a very big problem. But since my expertise is in technology, I had no clue on what's happening in the agricultural sector. So after meeting several agricultural engineers, attending workshops, etc., I found out that there is a big problem, which is the insects. Insects is attacking our crops, and to get rid of the insects, farmers has no other option other than spraying pesticides. But when they spray pesticides, they are reducing the quality of the harvest. So they are either it's destroying our health. You are eating pesticides, or they are not able to export their produce. On the other hand, if they don't spray pesticides at all, they may lose their crops. So losing their crops for the farmer is a big thing. So I wanted to help farmers, especially Lebanese farmers, because I'm from Lebanon, to overcome this crisis and this problem that's happening everywhere. It's not only in Lebanon. So what I did is I integrated technology into agriculture to help farmers improve the quality of the harvest, reduce use of pesticides, chemicals, fertilizer, etc. And of course, they will make more money and everyone will be happy. So
amazing. Thank you for the great overview. And we will gonna dive deep down more into the problem, the challenges of introducing tech to farmers. Thank you for that, Nisrine. And I also want to mention that when Nisrine spoke about the problem right now, she started with مشكلة المزارعين إنه ما بيقدروا يصدروا, and then we went أكتر بالlevels into reaching pesticides. So this is something we teach our startups in the Idealab program for them to be able to understand the problem more and more. And hopefully you guys, when you join the program as the participants here in this panel and members, you'll be able to work more on your solutions. So now we heard from each one of you how this project started as for personal reasons, fun projects for the impact, but then this turned into a business. So now we're going to talk more about how we have turned this idea into something real, testing it, prototyping, and getting feedback. So we're going to start with Antoine. And the question would be, what did you first, what was your first version of Compost Baladi look like? How did you test it in real life? It was all a thought in your head with your friends, but then you had to do it on the ground.
So the first, let's say the first iteration of the idea came in the shape of literally wooden boxes, nothing more, nothing less, the simplest form of how to compost. Even with that simple design, which is just a 1 cubic meter box, a wooden box, that was better than what was actually existing right now, which back then, 10, 12 years ago, which was nothing, or composting in just a random pile next to the house. So that was the first iteration. Now, to make a business out of that was difficult, because to sell wooden boxes for a few $100s, that was a tough challenge for us. And it wasn't for a few $100s because we wanted that, because actually to design something of high quality that could last the weather, the sun, rain, everything, the turning, etc., and even pests. That means you'll have to buy good quality wood that is treated and designed with a designer, all these things, and you have to make a margin. So you can imagine that the first segment of clients was high end, typically universities, people with high income, but that's a very small niche of people that couldn't sustain the business. But while doing this, I discovered that the people had several very clear complaints, and for them why they weren't buying or what could make their experience better. Few of them were that they would prefer not to touch the waste, like they don't want to turn it every now and then. Organic waste needs to be turned every now and then to aerate it, to oxygenate it. They are a bit afraid sometimes with the yuck factor with the pest. They don't want to attract any cockroaches, flies, etc., and the smell, if there's a smell. And so and the wood tended with time also to change shape. So we ended up upgrading the system into an automated cube. We called it back then the Earth Cube, based on a design we saw on a tour in the US, my partner and I, when we traveled. And that cube actually answered all my concerns back then. So we ended up buying a license, doing it on our terms, with our locally sourced materials to make it sellable in the Lebanese market. And now we entered to a new segment, completely new for us, which was restaurants and other businesses, even like companies, whatever. So this type of corporates now were interested because you're selling them a off-the-shelf solution they can just plug and play with it. And from there, the company developed its system to bigger systems, etc., etc. So that's the story for later, maybe to tell.
Amazing. And this shows how people can start with a small prototype without it being complex or ma'ad, and then along the way, after getting feedback, you can make it grow, you can make it more scalable. Thank you for that. As well, I'm going to ask Ralph. So you guys did a project, which was something maybe at home or with your brother, as you said, but then you had to commercialize this, so people should buy your products. So how did you technically validate the solution behind Plastic Lab? Of course, given the complexity of the sector you are in.
هلا what we did after working with Veritech, حتى still till this day we call ourselves more of an R&D. We didn't do the recycling plastic process as usual. You turn plastic waste into pellets. And we followed the methodology of precious plastic, talking about working 100% with recyclables, recycled plastic, making sheets and beams. وهون it was very hard. So first thing we did أول شيء إنه to build a team. نحن هذا كان أهم component. And the team that we have, Rami is a biochemist. I'm a civil engineer and environmental planner. And what we lacked was a mechanical engineer. And gladly we had Ralph Burji, a brilliant guy. He handled the operation, and not only the operation, the development of our machineries. And whenever I say development of our machineries, it was an ongoing back and forth, learn as you go over the years, and still till this day. واليوم عم نشتغل directly مع ال AU under an EBRD program to develop and finalize the machineries. يعني نحن the machineries يلي جايين من precious plastic, everyone can get them. But we discovered the flaws يلي فيها through the project. هلا talking about the projects where to pilot, أنا بالأول فكرنا بالأول إنه it's going to be with the municipalities where we can get plastics and it would be easy to work with them. We were definitely wrong back then, and ما بعرف إذا هلا حتتحسن الأمور. I hope so. But through the networking that we gained من ورا BediTech, من ورا الexposure اللي كانت عندنا إياها, our first clients were, we didn't expect that. وبعدهم لهلا best clients that we have are NGOs, either international or local. So the minority in the community that appreciate what we do and how we do it. ومعهم we learned a lot. يعني عالم to a certain extent بيسامحوا لأنه they understand the complexity of working in waste and the complexity of working in a new technology. And at the same time, we tried our best to give the best product we can have. And من هيك نحن we're on an ongoing R&D. We're never satisfied with our production. مش لأنه مش عجبنا العجب، لا، لأنه we know there's room for improvement. And now with LAU, with the industrial hub, I think we're getting a lot of important, took a biggest leap ever. But basically, to be able to do that, we needed to test our product in the market. في products ما بيهون شيء العالم, they're really happy with them. And that's really important to know who should be our first audience. An audience that is will give you constructive feedback, audience that will understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, especially coming from a green mindset. But what we know for a fact, if we want to go to the bigger market, and we did this work with AUB as a research on behavioral aspect, people will always appreciate a recycled product. We're generalizing now, but what they want is a cost-efficient, beautiful, aesthetic product, and this is what Plastic Lab trying to do today. And كل الوقت we're trying to optimize our machines, بنميل to have a reduction in cost and operation cost, reduction in sourcing the raw material. At the same time, to have a really nice product, regardless if it's recycled or not, people would buy it. And yeah, we're combining all of this. I hope I answered the question.
No, you did, especially when we say validation. A lot of people think it's only about testing it, but you mentioned a lot of components like مثلا finding a new teammate. This is perfect example of what a person could do during validation, to know that we need someone to do something here to do this.
Without Ralph, we could have stepped one يعني فشخة لقدام. يعني we're talking about machines that we're building ourselves. يعني different level.
You also mentioned your passion and many things that are perfectly aligned with what startups should look at when initially they're starting a business. Thank you. Amazing. Nisrine, so as you said, you were in Startup Weekend here at USEK. I was personally a volunteer in this event, and then you guys came up with it was a hackathon format, so you came up with a solution. But then we were in USEK in Kisirwan, and you had to validate this with farmers who are maybe on the other side of Lebanon. So how did you prototype the first solution? What did you learn from these farmers?
Yeah, so actually prototyping my first solution was kind of a piece of cake because I'm a tech guru and I work with electronics and components, and my startup is all about technology. So building the technology was not hectic for me because I was building a minimum viable product. So I had to include simple sensors and very simple electronics. But dealing with the farmer mindset was so hectic and it was so hard. Yeah, maybe nowadays it's becoming easier because even farmers know about ChatGPT, and they had rumors about ChatGPT and AI. So nowadays AI is kind of booming. But back in 2018, when people hear AI, it was not the time where I can convince farmers to believe in tech instead of believing what they have learned from their ancestor, etc. So validating with farmers was a very, very, very hard experience. So I had to learn the language of the farmer. So I spent all the summer with farmers to know how to convince them to try my device. And I used to install, of course, the device is free, and visiting them maybe 3 times per week to know what's happening, etc. But the validating our product with old farmer was very, very hard. So we had to shift to a new generation of farmers in order to validate. I need to validate my product if it's working, to validate the technology behind what's going on first. So what I did is I divided my product into two types of validation. I validated my technology part with young farmer who are willing to welcome technology and who believes in that one day technology can help them improve their production. And I tested my UX UI interface mobile application with old farmer to know their point of view. So I split my products into two parts. I validated the hard part with the young farmer, and I validated the UX UI with the old farmer, because at the end, one day, the old farmer will also use my product. So it was very hard, but I had to split the validation.
يلا, you're getting there. يعطيك ألف عافية نسرين. Must be a very hard challenge, but of course you are succeeding. And now moving to Omar. Omar, who is now who is leading FabricAid, and FabricAid now is a big model. But I want to go back to the earliest days. How did you first test FabricAid? The إذا بدك cycle of donating, buying, engaging, and all of that. What was your first test in FabricAid?
So for the first test, we have actually an interesting story in FabricAid, and I think a lot of startups, people starting up with ideas, should have a very lean way to test their company, similar to the one we had. At the time, in order to test the market, we used to collect clothes simply from friends, family, people we know, social media, posts, broadcasts on WhatsApp. And this allowed us to collect a decent amount of clothing without the need for buying clothing collection bins or installing those clothing collection bins. And the logistics of it, people used to either get them to us, or I would go and pick them up. Yeah, a friend or something. So the collection part wasn't that complicated. The sorting part, like I think each one of us lives in a house, so the sorting facility was my own house. The distribution part was the more difficult part. لأنه هون you need either a shop, you need a place where marginalized communities can actually come, you need to create this dignified shopping experience for them. And I didn't know the market at all at the time. So what I did for the first period of time, I used to take the clothes that I would collect and sell it at a second-hand store in Tripoli. We had an agreement with the guy who owned the store, and look, I will come to your store, I will operate it, I will bring my own stuff with me, and whatever I sell, the money stays with you. So I'm not making any money. I just want to understand, and okay, this secondhand shop, how many people come per day? When the people who come, are they Syrian? Are they Lebanese? Are they Palestinian? Is the woman the person who purchased for the family on behalf of the family, or is it the man? Why are they coming to secondhand stores in Tripoli and not going to an NGO? When they come, how much do they pay? What are they exactly looking for? Why do they go to the secondhand market and not the cheap options available in certain souks? So all of those questions were essential to understand what's their average purchase value, what is their pain point in the secondhand industry. All of those points were very hard to answer if we weren't actually on the ground. So يعني to talk a bit about that, أنا when I started FabricAid, we thought that the problem with in the ecosystem of delivering clothes to those in need, people who have clothes are not incentivized to donate. So كانت the فكرة is to basically whenever you donate clothes to FabricAid, you would get points that you can redeem from an Azadiyah store. It was هيك مثل an app. So we tried to gamify donations. وهون اكتشفنا انه we are trying to solve a problem that does not even exist. People don't have an issue in donating. It's for us, the easy thing is to collect donations from people. If it's accessible and if it's transparent and people know where the cloth is heading, that's the easy part. You don't need to spend money on that. You don't need to gamify. You don't need to even to incentivize that. The actual problem is in the sorting, the efficiency, the logistics, the distribution. This is when our idea and our solution is tested. And without testing this in the market, we could have not knew. Actually, the problem is not in demand. The problem is not in the supply. The problem is the way you deliver the demand.
And this summarizes كتير اشياء. First, this is what we also ask the startups. When we are giving them the workshop, which is concept initiation, we tell them, okay, now you have the workshop content. Go get out of the room. Go ask the people. Get insights. And these questions you ask now, مثلا, would they buy them? Would they donate? These are perfect questions for you to validate. So thank you for mentioning that, Omar. Then moving on, we would like to mention, during your startup, you took strategic choices, who to serve, how to reach them, how to balance impact and growth. And here I'm going to go again to Omar. And here a question would be, social impact is important. Donation is important. And as well, financial sustainability is important. A lot of people say that if we are doing a social startup, a good startup for a good cause, we founders do not want to make money out of this. So can you give us an answer to this question, or what people say in this point تحديدا?
So يعني هلا ما I don't think I was like that, but after 7 years in the social enterprise ecosystem, I say it clearly. No, I'm in the business to serve and to help and to support, but I want to make money very clearly. And my company is there to make money, and I've raised $3-4 million in investment to make money. We are in the business of business. So since we work, so a big part of our supply comes from donations. So people donating. في ناس بتيجي بتقول لك إنه I'm donating to you, and then you are selling it for a profit to make money to build a corporate. My answer to that is what we do with the clothes is that we give them at a price that no other vendor, no other company, no other store in Lebanon sell at, in the best and the most dignifying way. After the clothes are cleaned and sanitized, we give people a dignified shopping experience at prices that they can actually afford. إذا مقتنع بهالموديل, thank you. We would gladly take your clothes and try to deliver it in the best way possible. إذا مش مقتنع, don't donate to us. كتير رواق القصة. And we have people who are convinced, and we collect 20,000 kilograms a month. And some people بيقول لك لا انا بفضل اعطيهم للكنيسه او الجامع. هلا الكنيسه والجامع بيرجعوا بيعطونا اياهم لنا بس انه you don't need to convince everyone. And I'm not here to convince everyone. We are a business, and I believe strongly that the best way to serve and the best way to scale your serving is through building a profitable entity. إذا بدك تعيش على grants, بدك تعيش على donations. I'll give you a very good example of an organization that I respect a lot. DAFA campaign. When DAFA started and was operating and was collecting 500,000 articles of clothing per campaign, FabricAid didn't exist. It was the second biggest donation campaign in the Arab world. When Bank Misr Lebanon was no longer sponsoring DAFA campaign, they went from collecting 500,000 articles of clothing to collecting 0 articles of clothing. And they had to shift their model and to go toward aid. هلا DAFA, very small part of what they do is clothing. The vast majority is very different. This is what happens when your model is focused on donations and on the support of others and sponsorships. It's not sustainable. You will have great initiatives. بالسعودية صار في واحد جمع 2 مليون قطعة. It was donation based. هلا مش موجود. If it's donations, it will create great impact for a short period of time, but it's not sustainable impact. Businesses are sustainable. And we are sustainable because we spend on ourselves from the salaries we create, from the investment we generate, from the development contracts we can secure. In 7 سنين, we've served more people than all the donation campaigns in the Arab world in the past 5 years combined. We did that because we are sustainable and because we are a business.
This shows عن جد FabricAid is a great example of how you can make social impact while being financially sustainable and scalable as well بنفس الوقت. That's amazing. I would like to mention FabricAid is available in Lebanon, Jordan, and
small operations in Egypt, وإن شاء الله very soon bigger operations in Egypt.
إن شاء
اسمع
الله.
لي محمد سؤال رد عليه.
Did you say Syria in the end?
No,
Egypt and Syria?
بعد لسه أكيد.
Okay. لسه.
Lebanon, Jordan, small operations in Egypt that إن شاء الله we are expanding now, very soon Iraq.
عراق. Okay. الله يوفقكم يا رب. I'm gonna move now to Antoine. Antoine, you mentioned a bit about municipalities, NGOs. So here we can understand that there might be many communities you can serve, such as municipalities, households, NGOs, and others. Can you tell us how did you choose which one is suitable for you and which one to start with?
Yeah, I think it's the intersection of two things. The need, where there is need, but also where you have access. So where do you know people? At the end of the day, it's who you know, especially at the early stages where you still have no credibility in the market. It's who you know. And so we had a lot of people who trusted us, who believed in us, who saw the potential at early stage, who opened doors for us to actually install our systems. I can mention here one of the flagship projects for Compost Baladi in the early days that actually propelled the name of Compost Baladi in terms of solution-oriented company that can actually build something of quality for people to compost at source, which was USEK specifically. So our first, the first aerated static pile, if you'd like to search how this type of system works, you can check it on. But aerated static pile composting system in Lebanon, installed in a university or even in a municipality, was at USEK. And from that, we were able to replicate it in other places because now you have a reputable organization that actually installed it. And by the way, I think till this day, 8-9 years later, you can go and check it. It's still functioning. Minimal cost, minimal complexity, just focusing on the issue, which was USEK was generating, let's say, 150 kilos per day of organic waste between food waste and landscape waste. We'd like to turn them into something, first of all, stable, no smell, and 2, we can use in agriculture to justify this investment. Thus, 10 boxes with 2 pumps, with pipes into each box, and then all connected to an electric board. And that was it. And all the rest was training and telling them how often it should be aerated automatically. So that's it. Very simple. And it grew from there. So yeah, I think that's it. My answer is you have to find the need and you have to find the people that, especially at the early stage, know you, trust you, believe in you.
Amazing. And we're going to talk a little bit more about municipalities in the next question.
Sure.
For this one, I'll be asking Ralph on. So here again, we move to your story, which is a project between friends, and then it grew a little bit. But then you probably had many stakeholders that you thought would be interesting to work with to sell. So how did you know which ones to pilot with at first? From your early adopters, yeah.
What we did at first, did interviews. Yani we met with more than 10 municipalities. They all showed willingness. Municipalities عندنا كتير بلديات في كتير أشكال بلديات. What we focused on is the municipalities that they would make sense, that they have some sort of a decentralized system in collection. They have recyclables يعني such as Antura, Hosta, Daraoud. Kfardebien, there was even a project نهات لنا فيه إنه there's many إنه كفردبيان في فقرة فيها وفي كفردبيان. So we wanted to tackle all of these, the community itself. Who are we working with? And from the interviews, we figured, no, it's not going to work. As Omar mentioned, even though we have a social and environmental impact that is significant, we're here to make money. So we're not an NGO, so we were really focusing on our business model. And even back then, what helped was Veritech really coaching us. People at Veritech, they gave us some insights. Okay, guys, how are you going to make money? And at the end of the clean energy, we had a $2,000 grant to partner up with anyone. في تكون social media, في يكون any kind of project, just to fund the project. And what we did, by mistake, كنا ب Nation Station, and we figured بدهم يعملوا outdoor space. Why not? Let's test it with Nation Station. And we don't know what would happen. And I believe back then was a great idea from our end, either by luck or we were really smart about it, or somewhere in between. I think somewhere in between. Okay, let's test this market. And from there, going back to what I've mentioned, صار عندنا a different type of clients we were working with. And it took us a bit of time to understand how to work with them. It's not business as usual. يعني ما بيجي حدا بيشتري من عنا وبيفل. كل حدا عنده كل NGO عندها different way of dealing with their procurement, different way to deal with their projects. So I'm not saying it's a walk in the park, but to look at the bright side, we were able to develop our products with them. And yeah, that was really important for us to shift from one model to another. Now, I believe we can go back to the municipality model since we have developed products that could be accommodated by municipalities. Today, our recycling methodology changed a lot. How we produce our beams, our sheets even changed a lot. We optimized a lot. And not only that, our products, we added UV stabilizers, we added many components. What wasn't, okay, we add this and خلاص مش الحل. We tested for 2 years. And now we're comfortable to go to municipalities and connect with them, especially now they're more and more back on their feet. And at the same time, through our networking, even though our marketing strategy is a terrible one, but on purpose, في عالم B2C, even though we're not looking for B2C from the start, بلشوا معنا and we kept it open. I know at the same time we need to generate revenue to finance this R&D department. As Omar mentioned, it is not sustainable to have a business working on grants, especially in the country مثل لبنان. And the grants shrank big time. نحن كيف بلشنا 5 years ago now, and whenever I look at the call, you can see the grants are not that significant. So the business must be really smart. Whoever is running the business, being customer, what are we selling and why we're selling it, and really go into the financials. Even sometimes عالم in the social entrepreneurship ما راح يكونوا their best friend the numbers. At the same time, they are the best friend for the business. The more we're economically sustainable, it will reflect back on the social and the environment.
And I think you summarized it. You might when we work as well with the startups بنقول لهم مع مين بدكم تشتغلوا, mean will be your customers, and then they want to start with everyone. But now you mentioned how you started somewhere, then you got this opportunity, and then now that maybe صار في awareness أكتر, صار في عندكم network أكبر, صار في connections, فيكم تفوتوا بسectors بيكونوا نسبيا أصعب وبدكم جهوزية أكبر لهم مثل municipalities. So thank you for that, Ralph, for the great summary. Now, Nisrine, I wanted to talk with you about the farmers and صعوبة إذا بدك align التك يلي عندكم إياه, خاصة إنه you said you are a tech guru, but they are not. But you did talk about this in your past question. So I'm gonna give you a new one, which was inspired somehow with what you said. So a lot of people that we meet, they say, they do not want to share their ideas. They want to keep their ideas to themselves. They are worried, their idea might get stealed or حدا تاني to implement it instead of them. And your idea was tech-based. And we know دايما tech-based ideas في IP, في patents sometimes, في شيء واحد ما بده يخبر عنه كله. So what do you say about people that do not want to share their ideas? They want to develop everything in their room.
شو رح تضلها in their room على طول يعني ما رح تطلع لأنه لازم يكون في الكارج لتطلع لبرا الفكرة. يعني إذا طلت ما هي تكنولوجي especially in technology is يعني is moving like crazy. يعني إذا في فكرة خلص they have to prototype it أو ألبن خلص يطلعوا فيها. so إنه إذا خلوها, مين قال لهم إنه ما في حدا تاني عم بفكر فيها بذات الوقت أو يكون أسرع منهم. so ما رح يوصلوا لمحل إذا خلوها لإلهم. فلازم يجربوا, ودايما بيكون في something secret صراحة. يعني مثلا إنه in my startup, أنا when I started my startup it was innovative startup وما في منه يعني worldwide honestly. So back in 2017 يعني it was so innovative and I won several international awards وكنت عم كب حالي بمحلات إنه ب USA وب Netherlands they have كتير fund يعني إنه they can take my pitch و duplicate it. even though إنه رحت لهونيك و I pitched و I had the courage إنه شو بضلني هون لأنه خايفة على الفكرة تبعي إنه ما لها معنى. so خلص I jumped إنه وكمان هون ساعتها الواحد قد إيه هو إنه أنا بسكتر كتير صعب واحد يكمل فيه إذا ما كتير عنده الباشن والبيليف بالفكرة تبعه, وإلا بيزهق. you cannot make money من أول سنة ولا من تاني سنة ولا حتى من ثالث سنة. يعني ما نضحك على بعض, يعني you need time to make money. I'm working in a very hard sector, agriculture و hardware. يعني ما بعرف if you know, بس إنه investors when they say hardware startup بيهربوا لأنه بيكون في مصاري أكتر. يعني so حيلا حدا عنده فكرة, لا بالعكس لازم يجرب, لأنه أصلا يمكن الفكرة إنه هو حببها بس إنه يمكن الكلاينت ما يحبها أو يلاقيها إنه ما لها معنى. يمكن إنه they have to pivot in a way or so لا they have to go and validate and ask and do some surveys. كل هالأخبار لأنه ما بدهم يبلشوا, ما فيهم ولا في حدا تاني قد رح يزعلوا إذا عرفوا إنه هالفكرة فكرتي وسمعوا فيها بعد جمعة وجمعتين حدا عملها.
صح. So it's a
هذه هي ما
mixture
بعرف.
of, and بلا you mentioned that it's a mixture of knowledge, passion عن tech تعولتك. So إذا الواحد واثق بالinnovation تعولته, عنده الباشن they're getting the right support, moving quickly, moving fast, scaling quickly throughout programs, validation, prototyping, they can reach there. وأكيد as you said maybe sometimes واحد بالبitch بيحكي مواضيع بس there's a big bunch of stuff that you can keep it to yourself, especially if we're talking about technology. Thank you, Nisrine. And now we're moving to the final round, which is more about reflections, advices for our early and idea stage founders. So to start with, Antoine, uh, the industries you're working with, which you mentioned, يلي هن لهم علاقة municipalities, universities. I'm a university employee and I know how things can be slow. They are called slow moving sectors. So a lot of people we work with tend to avoid these sectors لأنه بيقولوا it's hard to validate. They say there is political decisions taking in these sectors. So do you have any advice for the people that trying to introduce innovation in those spaces?
I mean, maybe two things. The first one is you have to be, like you said, obsessed with the problem. If you know the pain of the person or the group you're targeting, you're talking their language. They will feel that there's somebody here to help them. You'll have their attention. Second, I mean, selling technology or the system or the product because we're in love with it or because it looks nice, we're going for the wrong reason to sell something. So I think they are linked, is that we need to understand clearly what is their pain. Now, sometimes the pain is not something that you can see on the surface or something that is not obvious, or sometimes it's not even related to waste. It can be something else. You have to be smart, witty, street smart to understand these nuances and how to enter, sit down, listen actively, understand, what can make them have a deal with you versus not. So, yeah, it's not a university project that you're selling. You're selling a feeling of confidence, a feeling of success, of leverage. It has nothing to do with waste sometimes. Once you understand how the work functions, the power dynamics, probably you will succeed, at least at the early stage where everything is against you. And maybe if I may add one more advice, not related to the question, but can feed to my answer, is that unless you're obsessed to the degree where it's affecting you, your health, maybe your relationships, you're probably in the wrong industry or in the wrong project. Because there are 8 billion minus one people that are not obsessed about the same problem. So to filter and you through the ranks, first you'll have to be maybe bright, understand the problem. Second, to be technically good so you can have a product. Then you go one more up that you know how to make deals and business. But then you arrive to a point where you find millions of people like this. What will keep you on top is the complete madness and obsession and a bit maybe unhealthy relationship with this. But this is, you're either like this or you're not. I sometimes at the early stages, I used to compare entrepreneurs and the skill of doing this. And I'm not claiming that I'm skilled in it, but I'm saying that I always compare it to you're either funny or you're not if you're a comedian. It's not something you can learn. Maybe you can learn a joke, but to make a career out of making people laugh, you should have a face that is funny. You should have a demeanor that is funny. You have to be witty. All of these come not with something you've learned. They come with how you're built neurologically and then what you've learned in life, what nurtured you, and then you end up being like this. You did not actually actively did this. So with entrepreneurship, my last advice, if I may, is if you're not obsessed about this, this is probably not the right project for you right now.
Amazing. So at first we started with passion. Now we're going into obsession. That's amazing. Thank you, Antoine. Of course, you have to be obsessed with this. يعني probably إذا حدا طلع بفكرة معينة, you've got almost like 6 to 10 years where you're working, dealing with this solution every single second, day and night, with no dawam or all of that. So you have to be obsessed.
Yes, amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Antoine. Now, Omar, which we will again because we deal with that a lot. We always talk about social problems, business model. So you did speak about how you did this in FabricAid, what were the steps, but we want your number one advice for anyone that is dealing into this market.
Um, Look, نحن بلبنان we don't have an infrastructure that supports startups. يعني if you look at the UAE ecosystem, if you look at the European ecosystems, American ecosystems, في عندك accelerators من هول ال idea stage، من بعدها عندك seed stage، من بعدها عندك growth stage، عندك enough angel investors, credit in the market, cap fly cap هول اللي بيعطوا also short term loans. Venture capital funds, impact funds, small venture capital funds, specialized venture capital. So عندك كل الecosystem. Whatever stage you are in, there are several entities you can work with. انت بلبنان you don't have this infrastructure. انخلق شوي صغيرة in 2011 with the vision of the central bank at the time انه central bank عمل 500 خبصة. الشغله الوحيده اللي عملها منيحه كان circular 331 لانه خلق the infrastructure for an ecosystem. خلق هيدا الانرجي around entrepreneurship as startups at a time ما كانت موجوده بغير دول. هذا الشيء اليوم انفقد completely. So انت ما في شيء that takes you from كل البروجرامز بلبنان are between idea وسيد. ما في شيء growth. يمكن الفنار is the only exception. Even باريتك ما في شيء growth. Growth يعني are putting hundreds of thousands of dollars in the startups and then millions of dollars in Series A, Series B. هذا الشيء اليوم مفقود. ما عندك big tickets investors. So the way you need to structure your business is with austerity in the mindset. يعني هيدي البوتسترابينج بتصير جزء منه. And the innovation that we need to have is an innovation in how can we do and how can we test and how can we implement any project with the least amount of budget possible. Whether في grant ولا في a certain investment ولا sales ماشي, you need to be very austere in the way of thinking. Very ambitious in your targets, but very austere in your budgets. هيدي from one perspective given انه شو وضع البلد. From another perspective, although we have a huge limitation بغياب الانفراستراكشر, we have a blessing in this country. عندك بلد عنده a huge diaspora. A diaspora very much looking forward to give back. مش بس diaspora, ناس لبنانية that are very successful. اليوم بلبنان the ratio of successful individuals is impressively high. And those are people who've built wealth, who've built knowledge, who've built network. And a good majority of those people are willing to help. شطارة Lebanese entrepreneur إنه you as an entrepreneur, how can you tap into those networks of knowledge, those networks of wealth, for investment, for support, for introductions. And I believe the only method of doing it is through one, putting yourself out there. تحكي على الفكرة all the time. كنا عم نحكي على كيف مع نسرين how you protect an idea. في perfect saying, well, those who are successful are those who are visionary enough to see where they want to go, who are brave enough to say it, and disciplined enough to follow it. So you need to see it, say it, and follow it. يعني you need to say what you want to do all the time. Be in every networking event, in every exhibition. Apply to every competition. إلا عازي ما إلا عازي. Apply to everything. Be everywhere you can possibly, especially in the beginning phase. لما أنت you don't have the foundations. You're starting to build. Make yourself everywhere. هيدي one. Two, use the weapon of gratitude. اليوم لما somebody, a mentor is supporting you, or somebody, any type of support, حدا عمل لك introduction. Everyone, every single action we do, نحن we are social entrepreneurs. I believe in my mission. I'm beyond passionate. I'm ready to die for it. And yet, I do that not selflessly. I do it very selfishly. لأنه for me, this provides me a purpose, and this purpose excites me to live. Everything we do is selfish. Everything we do is for a selfish reason. هيدا اللي عم يساعدك. المنتور, one of his reasons is he wants to feel that he is doing something. And maybe he wants the reputation of that. Give them that يا أخي. شو اسمه? Verbalize your gratitude to people and make it public. أنا إذا رضا ساعدني بنشرها رضا ساعدني بواحد اثنين ثلاثة، بقول له إياه لإله، ببعث لي إياه مسج لهو ينبسط ويتحمس ويحب. لأنه first I have gratitude. I'm not being Machiavellian هون. I respect the person who helped me, and I make it a statement in communicating to them that they've helped me. Not only that, I make sure that other people know that Rida helped me. And why do I do that? أول شيء, this will motivate Rida to help me again and help me more maybe in the future. لأنه شايف إنه I hold this gratitude. Second, it motivates other people to help me لما بيشوفوا إنه this person بيتذكر ال favors. And this is how you create a chain of support. And this is something that you need to tap into as a Lebanese entrepreneur. Third, in startups, when you are building a team, the last point that I want to say, when you're building a team, we focus very much on talent and skill. I would advise also focus more importantly than anything, especially in the first couple of people, and people who share your ethical principles and values. That being said, if you are the founder, nobody who joins your team is your friend. You are their boss. انت واجبك تدفع معاشات اخر الشهر، ومش واجبك تكون رفيقهم وحبيبهم وصديقهم. You need to be tough enough to know, and when this person is contributing and is helping and is supporting the enterprise, you keep them, you promote them, you support them, and when there is not, this partnership is void. بيجوا بيقولوا لك startups are families. Baby family إذا خيك أسوأ واحد بالعالم بتحمله. إذا موظفك شوي سيء بتطرده لأجله ولأجل الشركة ولأجل كل حدا تاني. We are not a family, we are a business. You need to be vicious in making sure that you put your team in line and that they are being weaponized our efficiency and effectiveness. جرب اقعد شهر شهرين ما تدفع لموظفينك معاشات. Values, principle, common shared purpose كله بيطير من الهواء. People are there to make money, and you as a business are there to make money and to do the mission that you are supposed to make. So whenever your team members are doing that, they are with you, you support them, you are in partnership. Whenever this mix is not there, no hard feelings. Your only loyalty is to your company.
Amazing. I asked for one advice. I got three and three valuable ones. So عيشوا بهالنعمة everyone.
أنا بحكي بسرعة
لا بعقدوا. They summarize a lot of things. We do live مع startups, including مشاكل بين الفاوندرز, including others ما بدهم يعملوا business model لأنه it's social. So you did summarize them perfectly, Omar. Thank you for that. Now for Nisrine. Nisrine, tech, farmers, ما بعرف, sensors, Arduino, codes, AI implementation, all of that. There was a lot of testing and there was a lot of mistakes. Can you tell us one of your mistakes and how did you handle it? What did it teach you?
We're talking about tech.
We're talking about the startup. Startup implementation, working with your stakeholders.
Actually, in tech, we had to iterate, but we didn't. Already, I know what I'm doing, so I know how to build, and I know which sensor to use. I know which camera to use. We had a lot of difficulties by choosing, for example, the camera, because we are taking capture of insects, and insects are very small and tiny. So we faced a lot of problems by selecting the best camera with the best price, etc. So we had to do maybe hundreds of prototypes. For example, I'd like to say that the color of the plastic we are using, we 3D printed 10 colors to know which color attract the insects most, because you know that, for example, an insect called Tuta absoluta is attracted to red, another insect is attracted to yellow. So we faced a lot of difficulties in every aspect in my project. So we did a lot of testing, and since I'm using AI, we had to collect lots of photos of the insects. So There's no specific problem I'd like to mention, but it was very hard.
I'm sure it was full of learning every day with every implementation. Maybe the way I asked this question, I said mistake. It's more like challenges, iterations. But I think you did sum it up quite perfectly. Thank you, Nisrine, for that. As well, Ralph, now the final question would be for you. So we're gonna always go back from where it started, you and your friends. You said it was a fun project, but then you had to commercialize it. So there was too many things that might have been different. So if you had to restart Plastic Lab all over the day one, from scratch, what is one thing you would do or start differently during your idea stage?
Idea stage, to be honest, we had a healthy process. احنا ما كان عندنا مشكلة in the idea stage لأنه لقينا كتير مشاكل during the idea stage, which was the right thing to have or to do. I believe what we could have done differently was beyond the idea stage. Antoine mentioned a lot of things that we did wrong, and he knows them closely. We talked about them, and combining the three conclusions من Nisrine, Omar, and Antoine, and I love the Omar and Antoine how they structured it. وعم شرحنا Plastic Lab how it's a business. We have to look at the time always. It's very healthy to move really fast, and some other places we have to move really slow. بس لقلك انه to redo it again انه هون ما كنت عرفت انه هول غلط انه بطأنا ما هون سرعنا غير ما قطعنا فيها. But what I have done differently, I would have reached out مثلا for Antoine earlier, and he knows at what stage نحن حكينا مع بعض, even though it's beyond work, it's just a friendship. عمره أكتر من يعني رامي وأنطوان high school friends. So and whenever we talked with like-minded people, passion will go away and the obsession will stay. Passion بتضاين 3-4 أشهر بعدين باي باي. And it becomes an obsession and a healthy one, we believe. We keep ourselves in check. So the discipline بدها وقت لتتعلم. So I would urge everyone to discipline themselves within أسرع شيء ممكن. هي بتساعد كتير the mindset to be grateful for what we're doing, to really accept the bad days more than the good days. Okay, lastly, we had this past year, what we do is basically luxury rather than necessity. So بنص حرب ببلد already crisis من كل الأنواع. منه أحلى شيء تعمل luxury product يلي هو منه luxury حتى بس إنه بوضع حرب it is a luxury product. بيقطع وقت very dark days. بنطلع بعض رامي, Ralph and I, and we start smiling, laughing. إنه عارفين it's all bad, but it's fine to be all bad. It will pick up another day. لازم نضلنا obsessed to a certain healthier way بدون ما تأثر كل حياتنا البقوة. And if I go back, I will reapply بطريقة أقوى شو عمر وأنطوان وحتى نسرين حكيته بطريقة من طرق اللي نحن كمان بنفكره كبلاستيك لاب to reapply it without really rethinking everything. خلص, it's fine. We're here, we're gonna work, it's gonna work. Worst case scenario, it won't. Let's not think about it too much.
Thank you, Ralph, for your answer as well. وهون I want to thank you all. هلا نحن we're hoping to do some Q&A بس we're gonna skip that لأنه يعني قطعنا منيح بالوقت. بس أنا مني I was enjoying the conversation with you guys. I was enjoying your answers, learning from you, relating the questions between each of you as speakers. عن جد, you gave amazing insights that as well we're gonna, since we recorded this, we'll be posting it as well to YouTube and to our website as well to share it with our community. I think a lot of entrepreneurs in our classes, in our projects, in Idealab or beyond Idealab, they can learn from what you guys are speaking about in terms of team, how the ideas start. So thank you to our amazing speakers, Nisrine, Omar, Ralph, and Antoine, for your honesty, for the stories, for the examples you gave during the responses, and for your time. And for everyone here, we hope this gave you a window into how ideas grow. إن شاء الله ما نكون خوفناكم. How founders navigate the unknown, how your journey can start from a single question. So stick around for more. Rita will mention what other events we have, and this might be your sign to take the next step. Thank you one more time for our amazing panelists, who hopefully will engage in more partnerships in the
Thank you.
future.
Thank you,
Thank you
Reda.
so much.
If anybody would like to reach out on LinkedIn, more than happy to continue the conversation.
Same.
Likewise.
Of course, Rita can as well share this stuff in the post-event follow-up with the recording.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Reda. Thank you, our amazing panelists. Personally, I was very inspired. I know few of you like in person, and I would like to meet you all soon. كمان إن شاء الله بنشوفكم in other further events. بنكون عم نشتغل عليهم سوا. What you said مثل ما قال رضا, it's very amazing يعني to share with our startups. This is great. I wish everyone who was listening to this discussion was inspired by you. Thank you everyone for joining. As I said earlier, I will be sending you a follow-up email أكيد with the link for this panel and everything our amazing panelists would like to share also. You can just we can attach it in the follow-up email. As I said earlier, we have a public speaking workshop tomorrow at Juni Municipality. We'll also be sharing with you the link to register if you'd like to join us. And further events, I hope you guys used like any idea what sparked has sparked with you now or even before would push you and support you to like encourage you to apply to Idealab, and we would gladly support you throughout this journey. بعد ما حأحكي كتير بقى خلاص. Thank you for everyone who joined. Thank you so much and have a lovely evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you, our panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a good night.
Bye.